have a new president in office, and that means one thing: we have a new set of promises as to how we're going to fix housing.
We will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation.
The economy is looking very strong. Look at inflation numbers, look at jobs numbers. We are just getting started.
And this is our second iteration of the Trump Tracker, tracking Trump's promises around fixing the affordability crisis we're going through in the housing market with unbiased, unemotional, raw data. In our last video, we were tracking 15 key performance indicators that we linked directly to his 5 promises made in Agenda 47, his pre-campaign promise PDF on what he was going to do for the entire country. But as of today, we are tracking 41 key performance indicators to have a full-scale view of everything that's going on, not only with housing, but with bills in Congress, as well as the cost for even owning a home, such as living in it, bread, milk, eggs. We have a core 3 that we're tracking with supply, affordability, and the potential at a housing crash, which we named depression, which take multiple variables into consideration, weight them by their tier, and assign them points so that you can clearly and quickly know the status and health of our housing market. Now, for starters, let's know the 5 promises that Trump made. He promised more housing. He promised more total homes. Regulatory costs for builders will get cut. Unaffordability will get removed from the housing market. Mortgage rates will get slashed, and he'll prepare first-time homebuyers for this housing market. Starting with our big 3, supply sitting at a 40 out of 100. This is seen as a critical shortage as we need much more housing in our market to supply the buyers that are ready. Affordability is at a 58 out of 100. We want to see this get as close to 100 as possible, opening the door specifically for first-time home buyers to afford a home. And the depression tracker, you and I may be separate on this one, but I want to see this number stay low. But this number is tracked all the way up to 120, with over 100 to 120 being an absolute housing meltdown. But as of right now, we sit in a very strong seller's market, with homes still selling quickly and for high dollar. Of course, there are pockets of America like Southwest Florida, Austin, Texas, even California and others that are seeing hyper-local shifts, maybe downward in pricing. But on a national level, the median home price still continues to go up, with median mortgages as well doing the same. The current going rate for an existing home being sold is $398,000. This is actually up a little bit from the beginning of his term, but due to seasonality, walking in the spring, little higher demand, it's completely normal, and we see it happen annually. New construction on median is $414,000. This is a little bit lower. We have been seeing this trend as new construction supply is going up, which we can see in the column below. This will more than likely continue to happen if people aren't buying new construction as quickly. This could mean an increase in supply, otherwise known as a surplus, which could pressure prices down. Affordable housing in America, which is really what we want to see get pressured down, we have a target for this number to be 310 grand, is right now sitting just under 350K. Now, a lot of these numbers around home prices kind of take the back seat to a more popular villain in our market today.
Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates. Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates.
Mortgage rates.
And that's been mortgage rates, which we've also been promised are going to drop. To start his term, we were sitting at 7.07%, and we have a target metric of getting down to 5.15 during his term. This is more than likely going to be the healthiest equilibrium, equal middle part, I don't even know what word to use.
Maybe you're drunk.
Middle ground for affordability in our country. Now, in our document, which by the way is linked below, this is a free document. We are potentially moving into a website platform over the summer, but for right now, save it, favorite it. You can even set yourself up in the top right to get notifications if you'd like to receive an email when there's big updates. You'll see in the document below mortgages, we're tracking the Fed rate, the 10-year Treasury yield, and core inflation year over year as the leading indicators to potentially seeing the mortgage rate go up or go down. Today, the median mortgage payments in America is $2,670. This is again slightly down, as mortgage rates are slightly down since the beginning of his term. Now, I will be fair to all listening, whether you're a Trumpaholic or a Trump hater. What I'll say is what we're looking at right now, it's a bit unfair to link anything he's done to the current April, May, June results. We really won't start seeing that until July, August, and beyond. Why? Housing is a lagging market. It takes a long time for someone to get pre-approved, go buy a home, shop for that home, close on that home, and vice versa. For someone to think about selling, calling an agent, getting their home prepped on the market, and inevitably closed, it takes a while. Unlike stocks in the stock market, which can move up and down, day to day, week to week, even instantly, there's a lot more volatility. Now, first-time homebuyer affordability and housing affordability overall are two key metrics we're tracking with the National Association of Realtors every single one of these numbers, by the way. If you click on the blue lettering, we'll link you directly back to the source. But the source for these is coming from the National Association of Realtors, and we are using these to create our big three affordability ratio. See, affordability is bad, but we can see very clearly based off these two numbers that it's much worse for someone who doesn't own a home. With the Housing Affordability Index for existing homeowners currently sitting at just around 100, that's a very healthy number. This ratio takes into consideration the median income of a normal household and the median cost of the normal home in America, and sees, can the normal person afford the normal home? And 100 is seen as a healthy, perfect score. Anything above that, it's really affordable. Anything below that, it's a lot less affordable. But for somebody who does not have an existing home and is a first-time home buyer, that number is well under 100 and very far from being healthy. And that's a number that we want to see go up. We have a target metric set for 95. As far as supply goes, we are still sitting in a very constrained market. We have a strained supply, as we can see from our big three. But going into the depths of these numbers, we are hoping for more supply, not just in new construction, which we are starting to see an uptick in. We're more looking for existing homes, resale homes, home sellers, normal people putting their home on the market. Why? Because when there's more resale opportunity on the market, usually homes begin to sit a bit longer. Home buyers get to shop a bit more. And ultimately, when there's more competitions that sellers are going up against, there's a better chance that you could get a lower price, better terms, and ultimately just a better deal for you as a buyer. And that would be considered a buyer's market, which our depression tracker will let us know if we get into. That would be a score of about 60 to 79. In our tracker, we will be tracking though total homes for sale, new construction for sale, existing or resale homes for sale, and building permits, because that's a great leading indicator to see that communities, neighborhoods are in the works. I will say right now, as we walk into spring and summer, all of these numbers are low. We need more supply for new construction, we need more existing homes on the market, and we need to see more activity in the building permit world. This is where Trump really can step in and make a difference by unlocking, unshackling the corporate laws, taxes, fees, regulatory costs that go into building a home and structuring a community. Over in our cost trackers, we are going to be building this out more and more. And by the way, just another plug, you can walk through this document right on your phone as you're watching here with me so that you can see what we're looking at. But we have everything that is going to change the cost of the home build: wood, steel, concrete, things that actually increase and what's called cost push the price of a home up. Now, when you hear inflation, there's two different ways we can get it. We can get cost push inflation, which is when the cost to create the product becomes more expensive. If you were building a phone and the cost of the supplies to put into the phone were more expensive, you have to sell it for more to make a profit. Whereas demand pull inflation is what we saw in housing throughout 2020 to 2023, with people fighting with each other and multiple offers and bidding wars to get into a house. This is demand pull inflation. What we're hoping to see in this cost tracker is actual cost deflation, pushing down the prices, allowing for builders to maybe make a little bit more profit and hopefully pass it on to the home buyer. We'll see if that happens. Below that, looking at household expenses, the cost to actually run a home, the cost of power, the cost of groceries, home insurance, your used car and the insurance for it. We're tracking all that. The one thing I love to do with this document, and frankly with this channel and other channels like we're on TikTok and Instagram, is to fact check the perpetuated headlines by the people in power. In this case, Trump recently came out and said, this is where we insert a clip of him saying,
Since I took office, the cost of eggs is down 87%.
egg prices are down. But as of the latest data from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, they actually say the egg prices are up nearly 20% since the beginning of his term. And that's not accounting for the fact that they were already pretty high walking into his term. Moving over to the potential of a housing crash, we do have what's called the depression tracker. If you have the document up, you'll see this is labeled as P23 because that is the cell where all of the numbers all come together to give you the total score. Now, as of right now, we're at 32 out of 120, which is nowhere close to a crash. In fact, it is so far away from it that we are still in what's considered a very strong seller's market. Now, if this number hit 45 or 50, we would be entering into a buyer's market. If it were to get up into the 70s, we'd possibly have a correction in sight. And if we get above 80, that's when the red flags start going up. That's when a housing crash could be imminent, but let's see the factors that actually lead to that. So right now we're tracking 10 leading indicators to a potential housing crash, starting with unemployment, FHA mortgage delinquency, total mortgage delinquency, housing supply, disposable income, foreclosures, business loan delinquencies, delinquency rate on all loans, credit card payments, car payments, and rental vacancy. We've weighted all of them by importance, and really you can see it right in its order that unemployment's right at the top. This is the funnel that could be constrained in our economy, because if we see less people earning regular wages, we're going to see consumer spending drop. This could lead to people needing to sell their homes to keep themselves economically stabilized. And if that were to happen in mass, like we saw in 2006 up to 2008 and beyond, it could cause a housing market crash. Over on the right in the tiers, we'll get to see what the risk level is currently for each one of these numbers. Now, all of these numbers are tracked in from the Federal Reserve of St. Louis Bank. They are live updated every day at midnight. And so the number that you'll see in the points column is directly associated with whatever tier it falls into. For example, if we look at unemployment, one of the biggest leading indicators of a potential crash, we'll see that it is a critical category, currently under 5%, and because it is under 5%, it gets 0 points. Now, if we were to get above 5% to about 7.9, that would get some points toward a possible depression. And if we were to get over 15%, we could see a multitude of points added to P23, which directly signals the red flag of a housing crash impending. And we take a similar line of thinking or formula for each one of these variables. We apply a unique structure to it so that it actually moves with the market and can show us without a doubt if things are getting worse, if things are staying the same, or if things are getting better, ultimately allowing us to foresee and track any potential at a housing crash or correction. And then the lone red flag we see in this depression tracker is FHA delinquency rate. And the unfortunate side of this is we're in a world where first-time homebuyer affordability is at near all-time lows. And getting into a home has never been harder. And now FHA loans, which if you don't know are government-backed Federal Housing Authority loans that are typically divvied out to first-time buyers. It's not exclusively, but typically. And now they are the first ones to potentially get kicked out of home ownership, all while big money might potentially be ready to swoop it up. All right, now before we get to the targets on what we think is gonna happen over the summer during Trump's term, let's walk through the last points. We have affordability by region, which is monitoring the 4 different sectors of America, the West Coast, the South, the Midwest, and the East, and showcasing where is it most affordable. Right now, if we look at it, every area is borderline unaffordable for the median family, except the Midwest. The Midwest has the lowest median home sale costs, the lowest median qualifying income, and the median family still making over 100 grand, putting their affordability index based off NAR at 134.2, down from a year ago, as are all regions, but still very high historically. We're also tracking 12 bills that are in Congress. 7 are currently pretty much dead and could be revived in the next section of Congress, but 5 are actively being discussed, whether right within Congress or within one of their subcommittees, to happen. And if one of these bills were to pass to unlock supply, detether some regulatory costs, free up these zoning laws that are otherwise restricting builders from building out and building up, that would be a win. But right now we're not tracking any of these bills as being real big punches to the gut of the housing market. They're mostly just kind of, they would help a little bit. But most of them don't even have a ton of momentum. We will track them right here in the bill tracker so we know the progress. Now moving forward, as we walk through summer, again, I want to be fair. A lot of what's going on right now as we sit together is not a direct reflection of Trump's actions. The housing market is a lagging market. Investor sentiment, buyers, sellers, what they want to decide to do has a lot to do with internal conversations with agents, lenders, appraisers, inspectors, even internal pillow talk before decisions are made. But by the end of the summer, there's a few people that believe 2 things, and I would agree with them. 1, the National Association of Home Builders believes that tariffs are going to cause new construction price to go up. Now, this could put builders in a bind as supplies are already beginning to uptick, as we see in the middle columns of our housing metrics tracker. And we're also seeing that demand is kind of weaning for those higher priced 4-bed, 4.5 bath homes. And if rates were to stay high, which we'll tackle in point number 2, we could see demand wean, supply stay high, all while we get that cost push inflation due to a higher cost of actually getting the home built. higher cost on steel, wood, etc. The second is we're more than likely walking into some form of recession. JP Morgan put out a 100% likelihood of a recession, and global markets right now, trade wars going on as we speak, are fueling a lot of internal speculation on what's going to happen next. And a lot of that internal conflict will more than likely result in Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve dropping rates. We've already seen the 10-year Treasury yield drop a bit, and if both of those things continue to traipse down, we could expect the 30-year rate to drop maybe to even below 6.3, 6.25 by this time at the end of summer. Now that would be overperforming the expectations of most big banks and lenders, even Compass putting out, I believe 6.5 is what we would end the year at. So 6.25 to 6% on average would be a welcome sign for many homebuyers. And if you're looking at buying in America in fall, winter, even end of summer, could be a really good mixture on that Venn diagram to find new construction in a tough spot and you being able to afford a bit more. You could end up getting a deal on that new construction home. But that's the breakdown, and these are unemotional, raw pieces of data from very unbiased sources. And I gotta say, the goal of this is not to see any specific result. The goal of these videos, the goal of this tracker, which again you can download yourself and is being transitioned into a site, is to give you an anchor with all of the headlines, with all of the clickbait, with all of the conversation, dissertation, debate going around on what's going to happen next. I want you to have a go-to source where you can see the numbers in front of you, live updated, no emotion, no takes, no bias, not blue, not red. We're only looking at green. How much money does it cost? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And are Trump's 5 promises around making housing affordable again coming true or not? That's today's Trump Tracker. See you next time.